from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, the Astros open a 5-game homestand. It's the first of 3 for them with the Seattle Mariners. And Carlos Correa makes his debut as an Astro at Minute Maid Park after playing 3 successful games on the road against the Chicago White Sox and making quite an impact. He is now a Houston Astro at home. The Astros have a 2.5-game lead on the Rangers. The Angels trail by 3.5. Then the Mariners are 6.5 behind, and the Athletics round out the 5 in the AL West. They trail by 9.5. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown along with Alan Ashby. Bart Ennis joins us in just a few minutes. It's been the Correa show, and the Astros hope to get back to winning baseball tonight. Ash?
Yeah, if successful means really impressive, and I mean underline the really, Carlos Correa has been successful. He really has looked good in the major leagues. He's picked up not only his first hit in the big leagues, first RBI, he's hit a bomb, he's made a tremendous play defensively, he's made all the routine plays, he's lined one opposite field for a double. The guy has done everything to look like as good a player as there's been on the field through that stretch.
But the Astros are still searching for offense, and tonight George Springer will bat third in the order.
Well, trying to find that lineup that gets things going once again as Altuve goes to the top spot. But George Springer, 5 hits in that Game 3 at Chicago, is really finding it right now. And the Astros need him to find it and stay a hot hitter in the 3 spot in the order. So you see George swinging it well. Carlos Correa, a big-time hitter. This is the shot to right field for the double. And he carried this one on a line over the right fielder's head like a left-handed power hitter, and then the bomb to left field. Majestic. Quite a first home run in the big leagues. Impressed everybody that was around the ball club. Carlos Correa has a chance to very quickly not only be an impact player, but one of the stars of the game.
Coming up, the Emerald King. Houston's young stars will face their toughest test so far this season. One of baseball's best pitchers brings the deadliest off-speed pitch in the game to Minute Maid Park. Ash and I take a look at Felix Hernandez when we return. Take on the Mariners, who are 27-33. Houston swept the 4-game series here earlier this season from Seattle. And we get to our night's pitching performance, powered by Kubota, showing you a pitcher who hopes to be the first 10-game winner in the big leagues this year, King Felix.
Yeah, they call him the King for good reason. He's been among the very best, if not the best, for a number of years now in the American League. Felix Hernandez is dealing once again, trying to win his 10th on the year. Look at some of the numbers. 9 wins, tied for first. That opponent's batting average against, 4th best in the major leagues. Just over 6 hits per 9 innings on the course of the season. Batting average way down. The King has been dynamic. Curveball and changeup almost unhittable as you go to this graphic. Look at the fastball. That's the pitch that's been hit. 227 the batting average against, 165 on the change, and 111 on the curveball. He can go to just about anything in any count and destroy hitters.
Coming up, pride of Puerto Rico, baseball's best prospect has finally landed in Houston. Tonight he'll make his home debut at Minute Maid Park. Correa and the Astros take the field when we return. Things are only going to get tougher. But the first place Astros are still sitting pretty and have a couple of young princes primed and ready to dethrone the King. Tonight, Carlos Correa starts his reign, and the hunt for October begins.
And Astros and Seattle Mariners ready to go at it at Minute Maid Park tonight as the Astros return to division play. They'll be taking on King Felix. Now, of course, the Astros with that 7-game losing skid, the real problem for them has come on the offensive side. They've had some very good pitching performances, but offensively they have really been struggling. And that's one of the ways in which these two teams are very similar, where the Astros during this skid are hitting just .201 as a team and have scored just 16 runs during that 7-game skid, but the Mariners aren't a whole lot better. They're coming off of a shutout Thursday night in Cleveland. They are a team that they're having a hard time scoring runs. They've hit just 2 home runs in their last 11 games, and home runs is something that they do pretty well. But Nelson Cruz has been dealing with some back spasms. He's missed the last couple of games. He is back in the lineup for them tonight and will hit cleanup. But they've really been disappointed in Robinson Cano. He's got just 2 homers, hitting just .238, and they were expecting a lot more from him to this point in the season than they've gotten. You know, there are 30 teams in Major League Baseball, and Seattle is 29th in runs scored. They are 27th in hits, 29th in team RBIs, 28th in team on base percentage. So they are really struggling and looking for answers. Their manager has been fairly patient and really hasn't, Lloyd McClendon really hasn't juggled the lineup all that much, whereas the Astros, A.J. Hinch is constantly tweaking, looking for answers. Tonight, Altuve will lead off. Springer, who's had a nice run here, he's one of the few players that's been immune to their offensive woes. He will move down and hit in the 3 spot tonight. Carlos Correa, who had a very nice trip out to Chicago in his first 3 big league games, he will hit 6th tonight, facing King Felix. And as the Astros take the field, let's go back up to the broadcast booth now. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby, guys.
Thank you, Bart. We see the Astros lefty starter Brett Oberholzer getting ready to face this Seattle lineup. And you've detailed the offensive woes of both of these clubs, so they're on pretty even terms. And in fact, in ERA, 4th in the league for Seattle, 5th in the league for Houston in earned run average. Here's a guy who really wants to get it going tonight, Ash.
No doubt about it. Brett Oberholzer, not a power pitcher at all. A guy who has to kind of pattern his game, I would think, after Dallas Keuchel. Start hitting the spots, utilize the changeup that's been a great weapon for him when he's able to get the fastball in good spots. He's got the breaking balls to go with it. Left-handers, however, hitting far too high against him. And you can see the right-handers have had a feast as well.
Austin Jackson will lead it off in center field for the Mariners. It's Mark Trumbo. He was acquired in a trade with Arizona, batting second in right field. Robinson Cano's at second base with Nelson Cruz at DH. It's Kyle Seager at third base, Ricky Weeks in left field, Logan Morrison at first base, Mike Zunino the catcher, and Willie Bloomquist the shortstop for King Felix Hernandez, who is 9-2. The Astros with that 0-6 road trip, trying to shrug off a 7-game losing streak tonight. They've scored 16 runs in those last 7 games, and they've had games in which the starter has been really good, but they just have not been able to put the runs on the board. Now here's Carlos Correa and his teammates getting ready for the opener of this 5-game homestand. 3 with the Mariners and 2 with the Rockies before the Astros hit the road again. They have been fabulous against Seattle this season. 6-1, 4-0 here at home. Oberholzer is 2-0 in his 2 career starts against the Mariners with a 1.20 ERA in those 2 starts. And here's Jackson to get it started. Austin, 28 years old. And it's ball 1. Mike Estabrook is the home plate umpire. Jackson starts the night at 267. He's gone deep 3 times while driving in 8. Up the middle, backhanded Altuve from short center field. Fires to Carter. That really had a lot on that throw for out number 1.
And he needed every bit of what was on that throw. Defensively for the Astros in the outfield left to right, Preston Tucker, Colby Rasmus, George Springer. On the infield left side, Luis Valbuena and Carlos Correa. On the right, it's Jose Altuve and Chris Carter. Behind the plate, Jason Castro been throwing great from behind the dish.
Mark Trumbo usually does not bat in the number 2 spot in the lineup. That's where he is tonight. And there's strike 1. Trumbo had 9 homers with Arizona, 24 runs batted in 7 games with Seattle, a 143 average, 1 RBI for Trumbo. He has had some good home run seasons.
It's what struggling teams do offensively. You start shifting the lineup around, trying to find that magical order. Usually it's just about getting a few guys in the lineup hot.
Trumbo's 29 years old. He's had some big home run years. He's hit 30 or more twice, 29 another time. Swings at that one and he's down on strikes.
Nothing fancy there. He's coming in with the heater on the last couple. Brett Oberholzer showing that he can work the inside corner.
That's important for him.
You can see how tied up Trumbo was on that last fastball.
Robinson Cano, 3 for 6 lifetime against Obi. Had 3 doubles in the 3-game series in Cleveland. But it's a lackluster start for Cano. Looks at ball 1, a 238 average with 2 homers, 19 runs batted in.
Well, that's an intriguing stat. A year ago today, hitting .332 with 35 ribbies. Been such a great offensive player over the years.
6-time All-Star who hit .314 last year. His career average .310 coming into this season. He's been a .343 career hitter against Houston pitching. Hangs that one off his leg, and it's 2-1. Cano is really a very important part of this sluggish Seattle offense. An offense that came to life by winning the first 2 games in Cleveland, then was shut out yesterday. .321 against Houston this season for Cano.
Has to be concern on that Seattle ball club. This is just the second of a 10-year contract for Robinson Cano, and already struggling offensively.
Ground ball to Carter. Oberholzer gets the side in order in the first. King Felix to the mound next. Astros starting lineup is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. It is Jose Altuve returning to the leadoff spot tonight and playing second base, followed by left fielder Preston Tucker. George Springer bats third tonight in right field. It's Evan Gattis, the DH. Colby Rasmussen center field. He is 7 for 10 lifetime against Felix Hernandez. Carlos Correa at shortstop. Luis Valbuena at third. Chris Carter at first. Jason Castro the catcher.
On the mound, we've talked about him, King Felix. Felix Hernandez for the Seattle Mariners. A fairly extensive career against the Houston Astros. 7 starts. He's 3-2. His ERA is dynamic at 1.84 against Houston. And he's allowed just 2 home runs in 44 innings against the Astros. You see the numbers this year. 162. The batting average against his off-speed pitches.
He's trying to become the first 10-game winner in the majors and trying to make this his 7th straight year in double figures in wins. 289 for Altuve, who goes for the first pitch and fouls it for strike one. Jose 0 for his last 11, has 5 homers, 27 runs batted in. He is 6th in the American League in hits with 71. Altuve hit .231 on the road trip. And taps that one foul for an 0-2 count. Altuve has had good swings against King Felix. He's still leading Omar Infante. And we hope that you will vote for Altuve. His stats are so much better than Infante's right now. Altuve 8 for 18 against Felix. Ground to short. Willie Bloomquist. Low throw, safe at first. He beat it anyway. Bloomquist did not charge the ball. He took too much time, and Altuve is safe.
Any infielder on the left-hand side, in particular shortstop, who doesn't charge and rush the play a bit is not going to get Jose Altuve. He's just simply too quick getting down the line.
That's an infield hit.
Yeah, low throw aside, Jose just simply beats it.
He's aboard for Preston Tucker. Tucker looks, and it's ball one to the University of Florida product. With 2 homers, 9 runs batted in, and a .253 average off a 1-for-15 road trip. He'll be a big fan, of course, of the Florida Gators this weekend as the College World Series starts, and they'll be playing Miami of Florida.
Take note that fastball from Hernandez just at 90.
2-0.
Bumps it up to 91, but it's not the same guy from 5-6 years ago that was mid-90s and using everything with it, and yet he succeeds at the same level.
A 5-time All-Star. This will be number 6 this year. He could be the starter in that All-Star game. He's done that once in 2014. Tucker looks at it. Now he's ahead 3-0. He's one of 6 who have made their major league debuts for the Astros this season. George Springer on deck.
And Tucker is, for me, one of the guys that gets me excited about where the Astros are going right now.
He has drawn a 4-pitch walk, first and second, nobody out. 24th walk for Felix.
Defensively for the Astros, or for the Seattle Mariners, in the outfield left to right, Ricky Weeks, Austin Jackson, and Mark Trumbull. On the infield left side, it's Kyle Seager and Willie Bloomquist. Robinson Cano and Logan Morrison make up the right side. Mike Zunino is the catcher.
For the Astros in the 3-hole, you see the various numbers, and George Springer's turn comes up again to bat third.
Those numbers for George nowhere near what he's done in the leadoff spot, and yet much better than what others have done. The Astros need that spot in the order to be much better.
That one almost hit him. And it's ball one in tight. 254 for Springer. 8 homers, 19 runs batted in. He's been leading off since May 24th and hitting .348 in that period of time. He hit .440 on the road trip.
Of course, keep in mind 5 for 5 in that last game against the White Sox doesn't hurt those numbers a bit.
He looks at the off-speed pitch, and quickly Mike Zunino goes out after 6 consecutive balls from Felix Hernandez.
What are you going to tell a guy who has been as good as anybody in the game for an extended period of time?
He is unflappable. He's a tremendous competitor. Last year he was 15-6. Had the best ERA in the league, 2.14. Second in the Cy Young voting last year. The batting average against him was .200. Springer shoots one up the right field line. Here comes Altuve to score the first run, and Springer into second. The throw is cut off. RBI double. Springer, 1-0 Houston.
This is what George did for the 5 hits yesterday, hitting the ball to right field and back up the middle, just kind of staying on the pitch a bit longer. And maybe a mistake there by Mark Trumbull in right field, not throwing towards second base. George was almost stopped between first and second momentarily, but you can see how he stays on it, hits it deep in the strike zone, and taking advantage of holes on the opposite side.
Hitting it by a diving Logan Morrison, and now runners at second and third for Evan Gattis. Gattis chops one slowly to the mound. Runner coming home. Here's the play. Tucker is safe. And now another runner's going to score as Springer comes in. 3-0. And Gattis into second base on the misplay by King Felix and Mike Zunino.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't hurt you a bit to come up with 3 runs in the first inning against Felix Hernandez in a series as big as this can be for both of the clubs. Obviously an American League West matchup here, and the Astros want to continue that dominance against these M's.
It's a fielder's choice. An RBI for Gattis, his 39th of the year, and the error goes to Felix Hernandez. First 4 Astros have reached. It's 3-0 with nobody out, and Colby Rasmus batting. Rasmus looks at ball one. 239 for Colby. 8 homers, 17 runs batted in. We mentioned he is 7 for 10 lifetime against Felix Hernandez. Any hitter would be busting his buttons over a number like that against this pitcher.
Such an intriguing road trip with left-handed pitchers going against the Astros. Chicago White Sox with 4 of their 5 starters being left-handed.
2-0 now. And now we get a visit. Rick Waits, the pitching coach, out to the mound. This is indeed a surprise, but baseball is full of surprises.
Now, this is not about, hey, here's what you need to do. Just a, hey, let's take a second, regroup. We know what you're all about. And hold the other club right here. But Hernandez has to be rattled a bit after having this happen in the first inning.
Well, you mentioned his career numbers, a 1.84 lifetime ERA against Houston for 7 starts. And the Astros have been able to build a nice lead early, looking for a huge number now in the first inning. Strike makes it 2-2. 2-1 rather, to Colby Rasmus with Carlos Correa on deck. Fireworks will be coming after the game. We have a big Friday night crowd here, big and bright Friday night. Astros wearing the orange tops. And it should be a good weekend with nice sizable crowds as the Astros celebrate Father's Day weekend a week early. They'll be out of town when it comes. Tonight was a real buzz around this ballpark, Ash, a festive occasion. And Carlos Correa stayed out a long time signing autographs.
Well, the buzz to me does feel like it's about Carlos Correa. Yes, the Astros are in first place, but this guy is bringing a new excitement, and I think he's going to invigorate a lot of people who want to see what the Astros are all about for not only the future, but right now.
This is the first time Hernandez has faced the Astros this season. He missed, and there's another walk. Colby Rasmus with the patient approach draws the second base on balls of the inning.
Very close pitch, and a lot of umpires might give that pitch, especially to a Felix Hernandez.
Here's the crowd rising for his first Major League at bat here at Minute Maid Park for Carlos Correa.
Now, I will say, first impression for me about Carlos Correa, he's unique, he's different, he is loaded with talent.
He's hit in his first 3 Major League games, .333, a homer, 3 runs batted in. And a strike one. The Astros had a press conference for Carlos before the game today. So many media people wanted to talk with him. And that's a good way to accommodate all the media representatives to it at one time in the press conference room. He handled himself extremely well. 0-2.
He took a curveball on the first pitch that probably was a pitch he would like to have again. And then he gets tied up with a fastball that really runs. I don't know if Felix calls that his changeup. Doesn't take a whole lot off on the changeup.
In the dirt, and it's 1-2.
One thing you'll notice about Carlos Correa is he doesn't flinch on the front side. He takes all pitches very well.
He's been taking English lessons since he was 3 or 4 years old, and he handled the press conference in both languages. Very well prepared for the Major League stage in every way, Ash.
No doubt about it. He's an impressive guy. The first time you meet him, you come away with, wow, he's bigger than I thought he might be. And then you get impressed with the way he handles himself verbally and how thoughtful he is.
He went over to each of his family members to greet them, and then later took photographs with them before the game. Now 2-2.
Felix has clearly decided working in is the way to go after Carlos Correa.
In his last start, he beat Tampa Bay 2-1 on Saturday. called strike 3, and it's out number 1.
So then Hernandez goes to the outside corner, spots it well, and catches Correa. After coming in, and you see that series of 3 pitches in off the plate, right there on the edge.
Luis Valbuena, who has scored 30 runs, comes up with a 180 batting average. Runners at first and second and 1 out. And there's strike 1 to Valbuena. He is 3 for 10 lifetime against Felix Hernandez.
One of the guys that's had quite a struggle in recent times.
0 for 19. He was 0 for 13 on the road trip. Shot out toward right center field, a long run. Austin Jackson way back, watching it soar. Luis Valbuena with a 3-run homer gives the Astros a 6-0 first inning lead. Number 13 for Valbuena, snapping an 0 for 19 slump.
That is some kind of first inning for the Astros after the struggles they've had, losing 7 in a row, scoring no more than 2 runs in 6 of those 7 losses, and only 16 over the course of the entire losing streak. And now you jump all over Felix Hernandez. And again, Hernandez doesn't take a lot off on his changeup. Usually has hitters fooled still, but not Valbuena.
13 homers for Valbuena, takes over the club lead. A 6-run first, the most for the Astros in an inning this year against a strong Cy Young candidate. Carter swings at it, and for Chris, who's batting 8th tonight, it's an 0-2 count. 199 for Chris, 10 homers. He's driven in 30 after a 2 for 16 road trip. And a ball in the hole and on through. Carter gets a 2-strike single. Hit number 4 for the Astros in the inning.
I don't know how much of a shock it is to Carter to come to the ballpark and find his name in the 8th spot in the order. But that's a bat that does have to heat up. And he just finds that hole on the left side. It's still one of those ground ball at bats.
It's the second time Carter's batted 8th this season. And the first time Jason Castro's batted 9th. At 212, he has 6 homers. He's driven in 13. Here's ball 1. But with this club's recent struggles, as you have detailed, Ash, A.J. Hinch is still just looking for something that will get this club going in a different direction offensively.
You're just looking for the magic, just to find one order that works.
And as he has said with the media, you guys make too much out of the batting order, and we probably do, but it is a constant source of attraction for people in the media. Lefty Joe Bimel's warming up already in the bullpen for Seattle.
I think everybody who covers the game or follows it has their idea of what the perfect lineup looks like. But it's a juggle in reality for clubs.
Fly ball left field. This could be trouble for Seattle. And the number 9 hitter, Jason Castro, hits a 2-run homer. It is 8-0 Houston. 7 homers, 15 runs batted in for Castro. And this lineup is really causing problems for King Felix.
For Jason Castro, it's kind of the perfect at bat. He's got that tremendous opposite field power. He has been struggling offensively. He's been great defensively. But he takes the high heat out over the plate, does exactly what you'd like to do with it, and just extends this huge first inning against Felix Hernandez.
He's coming out of this game, and how many times has he come out of a game in the first inning? trailing 8-0. Has it ever happened? It's happened tonight. Back in a moment. In the first inning with one out, bringing in Joe Bimo.
Yeah, Joe Bimo has the assignment now of just keeping things where they are, and where they are already has the Astros in a great position. But Joe Bimo's been around the game a long time. Those left-handers, if they can get left-hand hitters out, will stay, and yet you can see the lefties have had a field day against him this year. First appearance against the Astros on the season, and he's a guy that has been kind of shoring up this bullpen in recent times for Seattle.
Well, it has to be obviously stunned Felix Hernandez on that bench after giving up 5 hits and 8 runs in 1/3 of an inning, walking 2, fanning 1. Now he's a spectator as Jose Altuve works. First time the Astros have scored 8 or more in an inning since August of 2008. There is strike 1 to Altuve, who reached on the infield hit, so some hustle got the inning started.
Felix Hernandez starts the evening with a 2.51 ERA. He has ballooned to 3.38.
Little roller to short, charge this time by Bloomquist. This time he throws harder, and he does get him. Of course, he had to come in on that ball, and it's out number 2.
Wow, and that was close. And that was all Bloomquist had. He charged fully, and hopefully Jose's not hurt here.
He is limping back to the dugout.
Well, you start giving Altuve a chance to sniff a hit, and he'll fly down that line with the best of them. You can see bang bang as close as it gets, and it required the big stretch there to get him.
And then he bent over, so it's hard to tell.
You know, this whole thing started with Altuve legging out an infield ground ball for a base hit, and I think we agree Altuve is a required cog in this Astros offense.
Now Preston Tucker, he walked and scored. And it's ball 1, so Marwin Gonzalez will be getting ready to come in. Or maybe he won't, but he's getting ready to. Anytime Altuve comes off the field like that, that's the requirement. Tucker fouls it away, and it's 1-1.
So, Brownie, you posed the question about Felix Hernandez and getting out of a first inning. It's just the second time in his career that he has failed to get out of that first inning. And so this is an extremely rare evening.
Phil Boudreau has looked back, and the last time the Astros shelled an opposing starter and got him out in the first inning, 07, Sergio Mitre. 2 balls and 1 strike. Valbuena with that thump with the 3-run homer, struck a big blow.
Now leads the club in dingers.
Tucker shoots one up the middle and right over second base. It goes into center field. Tucker is on for the second time already.
Early impression on Preston Tucker, along with the fact that he's got some real serious pop in the bat. He hangs in extremely well against left-hand pitching. And to me, that makes him all the more valuable because you can have him as an everyday player, not a platoon-type outfielder. And he'll get it done against the lefties. It's a really good stroke. Right through the baseball.
Now George Springer, he had the RBI double past the first baseman, Logan Morrison. Last time King Felix did not get to the 4th inning in his start was May 16th, 2012. There's a swing by George, and it's strike one. You talked about it with the 5-hit game for George in Chicago Wednesday night, Ash. Would he be able to take that same approach to this number 3 spot in the order? Well, he delivered a resounding answer to that with that opposite field double the first time up, staying back very well on the off-speed pitch.
Well, that's exactly what we saw in that game. Now, right here in this at bat against the left-hander, and not a hard thrower in Beimel, you're seeing Springer maybe take the big swing, possibly trying to launch something, but boy, he stayed on the baseball so well in that 5-hit game. And like you say, that first at bat tonight, just stayed on it, shot it on the ground, found a hole on the right side.
Beimel gets a punch out, but the Astros bat around +3. 12 men to the plate in the first inning. There's a 3-run bomb by Valbuena, number 13 for the club leader. And Castro with number 7. Give him 15 runs batted in an 8-run Houston first. Presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. What a difference a change of venues can make. It's 8-0. The Astros jumping all over the Mariners in the first inning. And now Brett Oberholzer goes out after a 1-2-3 first with that big lead, searching for his first win of the season. Marwin Gonzalez has taken over at second base for Jose Altuve. We don't know yet what the injury is for Jose. It appeared to be some sort of right leg injury, perhaps. Maybe a groin, maybe a hamstring, but we'll wait.
Yeah, you hope it's just a tweak, and the Astros are being conservative here after 8 runs in the first inning.
Now it's Nelson Cruz to lead it off, the DH tonight, leading the league in homers and taking strike one. 18 homers, 39 runs batted in. That's in the top 6. And he has a .326 average. That's third in the American League for Cruz. He swings at that one, and it's well placed.
We've talked about the Felix Hernandez changeup, but this one of Brett Oberholzer, when he's pitching well, that can be a dominant pitch.
Cruz fouls it back. Nelson Cruz has really made a difference in this Seattle offense, although it is the worst scoring offense in the American League with 208 runs. Nonetheless, with his 18 homers, with his .607 slugging percentage, the best in the American League, he's delivered. In tight to him, and it's 1-2.
Kind of tells you all about best laid plans and that sort of thing. Seattle thought they had, in bringing Cruz in with what they already had, Cano, Seager, and company, they thought they were going to be a real contending team offensively.
Line drive over Carter. He pokes it into right field, and Cruz is aboard with an opposite field single.
Now, part of why he's not only hitting for power, but hitting for batting average as well. Very intelligent hitting right here. Yeah, he'd like to hit the long ball, but there's a tough pitch and just slap it the other way.
Kyle Seager has the runner at first there after the Cruz single. He reached way out and caught that one with the end of the bat. The infield shifts around on Seager, playing him to pull. He hit his second grand slam of the season at Cleveland day before yesterday. There's ball 1 to Seager. .276 with 10 homers, 34 runs batted in for the third baseman from the University of North Carolina. He's hung in well against lefties at .327.
Yeah, bottom line is he'd like to hang in that well against the righties.
Seager had quite a year last year. He was an all-star and hit 25 homers, drove in 96 runs, won a Gold Glove. Obi missing, goes to a 2-1 count. Oberholzer bothered by blister problems going back to spring training, and they resurfaced as he made his first major league start with the Astros after a minor league start. So he's been on and off the disabled list. That first start for Brett was May 13th here against the Giants. He left after 3 innings of 5-hit 1-run baseball. Then didn't pitch again for the Astros until June 1st. Fly ball out to center field. Colby Rasmus. Cruz will go back to first to tag. Rasmus will get it back in towards second. 1 out.
That's a good job being aware of the situation. No doubt infielders, maybe the corner outfielders, hollering toward Rasmus, tagging at first base. So you get rid of it quickly, get it back in, play good solid baseball.
Now Ricky Weeks will be the batter. It's steamy and very warm outside. Rain is in the forecast for the weekend, more along the Gulf Coast area, we understand, than inland. 163 for Weeks, 2 homers, 9 runs batted in. He's never faced Oberholzer, who throws strike 1. Weeks, the first round choice of the Milwaukee Brewers in '03, joined Seattle as a free agent. And he's made the conversion from second baseman to outfielder. He's had a few issues in the outfield. In the dirt, it's 1 ball, 1 strike. The Mariners 1-2 of 3 in Cleveland. And on the road, so far, they're better. 14-14 than at Safeco Field, where they're 13-19. They've lost 3 straight road series, though, to the Astros, and of course had 1-2 of 3 in Cleveland before coming here. They were swept in the 4-game series here. 2 balls and a strike, and they're 1-6 overall. And Lloyd McClendon patiently waiting for his club to round into form with that 27-33 record. Seattle was picked by many to win the AL West. Now that we're here in mid-June, Ash, What would you say? The Astros are in first, Texas in second, 2.5 back. Then the Angels are 500, 3.5 behind. How do you assess the AL West?
You know, I'm really impressed with the Texas Rangers, what they've done. I'm thoroughly surprised by the Rangers. The Angels, I think, will continue to be a threat. But I love what the Astros have done, adding young talent that's been better, is better than what they've had before. And I think the Astros have become the favorite.
Still 2-2.
Lance McCullers, for me, makes a huge jump in the starting rotation. Vince Velasquez showed the same type of stuff in terms of velocity on the hill. So the rotation's got a chance to get a lot better. Offensively, there are some guys that can make huge differences. And I'm really thinking about Preston Tucker and Carlos Correa right now. I think these guys have a chance to be real difference makers in this Astros offense. That guy right there, in my assessment, is going to become one of the game's stars, and very soon.
After third, Valbuena does not play it. It's under his glove and into left field. Chased down by Correa. He was trying to short hop the ball and then get a quick throw off on Weeks' slow chopper. So first and second, one out. The announcement just made on Jose Altuve. He left with discomfort in his right hamstring.
I want to see where this ball actually hits. I'm not sure that it. Well, it did bounce in front, but maybe because he didn't come a little more assertively and get this before it was to bounce.
Right.
Really kind of right at the glove.
Looked like he was rushing, Ash. Trying to get to that ball and get it out of his glove in a hurry instead of maybe staying with it a little bit longer.
Maybe so.
Whatever the case, it's Logan Morrison batting, first and second, one out. And that was an error. At strike one. That was Valbuena's third error of the season. 255 for Lomo, 6 homers, 17 driven in. And that 200 average against left-handed pitching accounts for him hitting 7th tonight. He's led off some of the time this year. And for a strike, 0-2 to Morrison, formerly with the Marlins.
It's a tough assignment for a pitcher who has had his struggles to get his feet on the ground on the big league scene, and that describes Brett Oberholzer. Defense makes an error behind you. You just have to get tougher than you were the pitch before.
And bounces foul. Logan Morrison was on a 16-game hitting streak. That ended a couple of days ago. Well, for Brett Oberholzer, a chance to stay in the game for a while. His longest start of the three has been 5 1/3. That was here against Baltimore 2 starts ago, June 1st. That one goes to a 1-2 count on Logan Morrison. During the 16-game hitting streak he had, he was hitting .349. So with Altuve leaving with a right hamstring issue, Astros certainly hoping that doesn't turn into something long-term or something nagging.
That 16-game hitting streak provided only 3 extra base hits and 3 ribbies.
Correa gets it over to Carter. 2 outs with the runners moving up. And it's Mike Zunino coming up next.
A little tricky in between hop for Carlos Correa. Watch him react to the baseball. Made sure to get an out on the play.
You mentioned the press conference he had earlier today, Ash. And I asked him one question. Have you noticed the game is any faster at the major league level? He said, well, yes. The hitters are bigger and stronger. The ball does get out to you faster when you're in the field. But I'm here to compete, give it the best shot. And he did not seem awed in any way, while still very complimentary to major league players. That's ball 1-2, Zunino.
I think that could be a challenge to answer that question. Had to really utilize that right hand to make sure he corralled that baseball. I think to be gracious to all other players, you do say the game is quicker and all that sort of thing, and I'm sure it is, but to me it looks like he's just playing the game the way he's probably played it all his life. He's been better than people that have been around him, and it's been said of Correa that when he's been on the field in recent springs with the Astros that he's been the best player on the field, and I'm not so sure that's not correct.
Makes it 1-2 to Mike Zunino, who's known as a good defensive player, but he's not hit a whole lot this year.
Quite a delayed call here by Mike Estabrook. Yeah, and you can see why.
In the dirt, Castro keeps it out in front. It's 2-2 with Willie Bloomquist on deck. Zunino was 0 for 17 until he got a hit 2 days ago at Cleveland.
Zunino's become that young, talented-looking player that hits for power but doesn't hit very often.
There are a few of those around, aren't there?
It happens. Big, strong kid.
He was a first-round pick, the third player drafted in 2012. Castro goes to the mound.
You know, seeing Castro come out, has he ever thrown the ball well from behind the plate? Sure. He has been on the money, just throwing darts down there.
Threw out 3 base runners Wednesday.
3 for 3 in that category in that ball game.
Zunino takes, and it's 3-2. Zunino is a University of Florida product from Cape Coral, Florida. He won the Golden Spikes Award, the Johnny Bench Award, the Dick Hauser Award in college. His father, Greg, has been scouting for the Cincinnati Reds. At strike 3, Obi puts up a 0 in the second. The strikeout number 2 ending it with no runs, a hit, an error, 2 men left. Carlos Correa will be due up third in the bottom of the second. Instead of trying to figure anything out, Ash.
And that looks like a pretty easy haircut to provide right there. Big smiles come with it.
It's going well for him. Evan Gattis, the batter.
A lot of Houston runs apparently come with it.
Ball one to Gattis, who hit the high chopper. And Felix Hernandez was going back on the back part of the mound. Backhanded the ball. And Tucker was coming in toward the plate. So apparently the Astros had the contact play on. And Felix made a low throw to the catcher. Zunino got away from him. And the Astros really kept turning that into a bigger and bigger inning of 8 runs on 6 hits.
Well, you had a 1-0 lead, and when the play was all said and done, it was 3-0 and on the way to the big inning. I bet he's thought about that play over and over since leaving the game.
Gattis takes ball 2, and it's 2 balls, no strikes to Evan. Make it 3-0 now. Colby Rasmus on deck. The Astros sent 12 to the plate in the 8-run first inning. They scored 4 runs in 3 games playing the White Sox. Gattis takes a 4-pitch walk. 3rd walk of the night for Mariner pitching. Good to see the youngsters out of school and enjoying baseball. Rasmus drew a walk, and he scored in that first inning. Well, in many ways, you could say the pennant race begins now for many people. Rasmus takes, and there's strike 1.
Start playing your division once again. It's game 62, so 100 games after tonight's game.
A lot of people have been focused on school and other activities and simply have not had a whole lot of time to follow this sport. So it begins now for them. The least important part of the season is behind us. No balls, 2 strikes. That's not to say the first 61 games weren't important, though.
Well, I'll tell you what, every win you can get from day 1 is important.
Well, for instance, the Astros had that 10-game winning streak. Now they've lost 7 in a row. Put those wins in the bank. Bloomquist with the toss, and there is Seager turning the 6-5-3 double play.
And following that double play, time for our pitch by pitch presented by Steel Dealers. Carlos Correa, you want to see him succeed. Take a look at this bat in Chicago the other day. Falls behind early on and then takes close pitches, fouls pitches that could be called strikes. Makes sure that he does take his hack. Extends the at bat, and then after it gets to this point, just drives a tough pitch down and away on a line over Garcia's head in right field. A double results. Carlos Correa has some very unique ability.
That's ball 1 to Carlos. Went to the Puerto Rican Baseball Academy, and he made sure many of the people who have had a lot to do with his ascendancy to the major leagues are here tonight. Family and friends and people who work with him on his baseball skills here tonight to watch his home debut, and they are wearing those Correa #1 t-shirts. They were on the field for batting practice before the game.
Very giving of his time when you consider preparing for a major league game.
He drives this one a long way to right center field over Trumbo. Watching this one turn into a bomb for Correa. Home run #2 in his 4th major league game, and welcome to Minute Maid Park with the fans adoring Carlos Correa.
Are you convinced that this young man has some unique ability? Opposite field, drives it out. Not quite as majestic as #1, but very impressive. Big and strong, and he's not afraid of the spotlight.
3 home runs for the Astros. Fans are still buzzing over that one into the bullpen. The Astros have won their last 27 games when they've hit multiple home runs in the game. Going back to last year, they're 21-0 this year in multiple home run situations. Now Tom Wilhelmsen tunes it up in the Seattle bullpen. 9-0.
Brownie, you just saw an example of why I think this lineup gets better and better now.
Albuena grounds out. So we'll get your explanation on that next inning, because Carlos Correa, with his second homer, fourth run batted in, has made it 9-0, and it's time for the third right after this.
And this is a big weekend for the Astros, not only because of the home debut of Carlos Correa, but also because it's Houston Methodist Health and Wellness Weekend. And to talk more about these summer months and some of the things you may be encountering as your kids play sports, Dr. David Lintner is going to join us now. He's the head team physician for the Houston Astros, but you also see patients for Houston Methodist. Talk a little bit about what you see over the summer, mainly baseball injuries with children?
Yeah, well, this time of year, absolutely. You know, you see the kids have been playing a lot during the spring and maybe getting ready for their summer season, especially the kids that are on multiple teams or getting ready for showcases, that sort of thing.
But there's more than that now. Kids are going off to summer camps. Kids are playing 7-on-7 football. So you see sort of a wide variety of issues, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, in baseball, you see the upper extremity injuries, usually from throwing too much, playing on multiple teams. But pretty soon we're going to be seeing the heat injuries. As kids are out playing 7-on-7 football, getting ready for their high school football team, you start to see heat illness rear its head.
So, Dr. Lintner, what can parents and or coaches do to help these kids, navigate these waters over the summer without suffering injury?
Sure. Well, really the key for baseball is figure if they've been playing baseball all spring, the temptation is to overplay them during the summer. And in reality, that's a bad idea. You can play some, but not too much. That's really the biggest risk factor for youth and adolescent arm injuries is just throwing too much. They need to have some rest time built in. For football, the biggest thing is to be in shape, get ready for the heat. When it turns August and you're out there in pads and doing 2 practices a day, if you haven't been out in the heat getting acclimated for 3-4 weeks beforehand, you're going to fall out.
All right, so stretch and hydrate. Those are key issues in the summer.
Absolutely.
Dr. David Lintner, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it very much. It's Health and Wellness Weekend, so make sure you stay healthy out there, guys. Back to you.
Thank you, Bart. It's a 2-2 count on Willie Bloomquist. He's leading off the third inning. Brett Oberholzer and the Astros lead at 9-0. Bloomquist at 179 has no homers, 4 runs batted in, and he's appeared at 6 different defensive positions. Brad Miller usually plays shortstop. He's on the bench tonight. There's a strikeout. It's number 3 for Obi.
Turns to the changeup. And when he first showed up on the scene, that changeup separated him from a lot of guys. But he does need the fastball, especially on the inside edge, to all hitters to be able to make that changeup be as dominant as it possibly can be.
Austin Jackson grounded out. Jose Altuve made a good play as he led off the game with a grounder up the middle. It's ball one to Jackson, formerly with the Detroit Tigers. Brad Peacock had an injury rehab start in the minors last night. He went 2 innings. Changeup makes it 1-1. Obi getting his 4th start, and he and Peacock were both in the plans as the club went to spring training. Obi was penciled in as the number 4 starter. But then the blister problem really reared its ugly head. Popped up off the end of the bat. Marwin Gonzalez in front of Colby Rasmus. Colby, 2 outs. So it would be very nice for the Astros rotation if Obi can settle in, stay healthy, start to stretch out, because he's pitched 12 innings so far in his first 3 starts combined. With the way the 2 young guys you mentioned have done, Vince Velasquez, Lance McCullers Jr.
A couple of guys that I think can turn this rotation into a high-powered rotation.
Chris Carter on a Trumbo pop-up makes it out. Number 3, 9-0 Houston.
For 16th on the all-time home run list last night with his 537th long ball. Albert has averaged 37 bombs a season over his 14-plus years in the big leagues, and clearly one of the game's greats. And he always seems to have the attention of Mike Trout as well as the rest of the Angels teammates for Albert. Congratulations on that one.
31-year-old Tom Wilhelmsen will be pitcher number 3 of the night for Lloyd McClendon's Seattle Mariners. He's 1-1. His ERA is 2.20. And lefties have given him a problem, hitting .444 against him.
And that's added up to 20 hits against him in 16 in the 3rd innings. So the hitters have had somewhat of the advantage there.
Joe Beimel went an inning and 2/3, allowing 2 hits and 1 run. He had 1 walk and 1 strikeout. Felix Hernandez throwing 31 pitches tonight. 18 were strikes. Chris Carter singled on an 0-2 offering to left field. There's ball 1. For Felix Hernandez, it was 1/3 of an inning. 5 hits, 8 runs allowed, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. His ERA rose from 2.51 to 3.38, as Ash mentioned. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nice sized crowd here for a big and bright Friday night. The Astros 26th in average major league attendance out of 30 teams. 2 balls and a strike. The crowds, though, will get much bigger. They've been averaging 22,655 for the first 32 home games. Carter looks at it. It's 2-2. Especially if they play like this, the crowds will get bigger.
And of course, it's hard to anticipate just bombs away offense. But this offense seems to me to be in a position to get better and better now. I have mentioned Preston Tucker, and I think he's going to be a really good one, a dynamic offensive player. But that guy right there is the key. Carlos Correa along with George Springer. Got some really good young talent.
Logan Morrison goes for it, and he had to track that one down from a long way away. Just a reminder now, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. One out, and it's Castro coming up now. Jason hit an opposite field 2-run homer.
Brownie, I just want to say, shame on me if I forget to mention Jose Altuve, because when he gets it going again, this offense gets much, much better.
Well, the Astros certainly hoping that he is available. Leaving the game with a leg injury tonight. Discomfort in the right hamstring. Castro with that 2-run homer hit his 7th of the year. And there's ball one. Jonathan Villar was just sent down to the minor leagues, as you know, a few days ago. And the plan is to have him play more outfield. That's a slicing fly ball near the left field line and into the seats. Foul.
Kind of a version of what Jason did perfectly in the first inning. Takes a fastball up and away, drives it away. He's got plenty of power going to left field. Just ideal when you see Jason get into that groove where he's got that pop going to left.
Helmson missing outside, runs the count to 2-1.
I think this ballpark is built for Jason Castro's abilities offensively.
He takes advantage of left and left center. Two and two. Well, Lance Berkman sure played it well. Here's a left-handed batter. He hit a lot of balls hard to left center field and left. Let the ball travel deep.
Yeah, he was one of those special young players that came on the scene and almost immediately had a big impact on the offense.
Bounce foul, first base side. Because of Castro's ability to drive the pitch on the outside part of the plate to the opposite field, he's been getting crowded quite a bit by pitchers this year. Three and two.
And I'm surprised to see Seattle even considering to throw him away here in the series, especially after that home run in the first inning.
And there's a walk. That's 4 of those tonight for Seattle.
Faith and Family Night, presented by Houston Methodist, is back in 2015. Christian rock band Mercy Me returns to the stage at Minute Maid Park for a post-game concert tomorrow night following the Astros game with the Seattle Mariners. For more information, visit astros.com/faith.
Marwin Gonzalez comes up in Jose Altuve's spot. Bounces one foul, strike one. Jose was 1 for 2. Marwin coming in to play second base after the Altuve right hamstring injury. Carries a .216 batting average, 2 homers. He's driven in 13. Has good numbers against Seattle, .368. He's had some big games in previous years against the M's. It's 1-1. The Astros, despite their recent run scoring problems began the night 7th in runs scored in the American League.
They are that unique blend that we've talked about a lot. Power leading the league in home runs and speed leading in stolen bases.
Marwin tried to check, but that's called a swing by Ed Hickox.
We get that magic peek from the side. If only it were this easy for the umpires, but you can see that bat gets out in front of the leading edge of home plate. That's a swing.
Marwin takes, and it's 2-2.
Try to work that inside edge, run it back, miss by maybe an inch. It's been a steadily tight plate behind or on the inside corner in particular tonight.
Breaking pitch struck him out. Third strikeout for Seattle pitching tonight.
Right over the top yacker. That was a tough one.
Wilhelmsen is from Tucson. Last year he pitched 57 times for Seattle. He was drafted by Milwaukee. He was out of organized baseball from 04 through 08. Preston Tucker bats. He has a walk and a single. Grounds that one foul. Strike one. Some exciting time in the Tucker family with Preston playing for a first place major league club, realizing his dreams after he was drafted from the University of Florida. And now his brother, who was drafted high out of high school, negotiating with the Astros to sign a contract. That's a strike, and it's 0-2.
This guy is brute strong, and he has shown tremendous power the other way, as well as that ability to yank it down the right field side.
He certainly was robbed Wednesday night in Chicago in that bid for an opposite field homer.
Yeah, I think that ball was going to get out. It was likely going to hit the top of the wall and continue on. He hit a ball in Baltimore to end the ball game that Jeff Blum and I both thought was out of the ballpark when it left the bat, and for some reason stayed in there right up against the wall for the final out.
Broken bat looper near the right field line. That ball is foul. 1-2. Alex Bregman is involved in playing in the College World Series, but Kyle Tucker from the high school background can negotiate now. Tall, 35, actually.
Yeah, tall, slender athlete, and I can't imagine being Preston. He's proud of his brother and glad to have him in the organization, but a lot of people saying this guy's got a chance to be better than Preston. Well, okay. Preston might take that as a chance to say, let's step up and be even better than we've been to this point. But yeah, that's it's really some good stuff. And Mike Cameron's son gets drafted later in that first round.
Foul back. Daz Cameron, an outfielder from high school. So the Astros really did well. They were ranked as one of the best teams in acquiring talent through the draft this year by some various writers. Now it's a matter of signing them and getting them out to play for their minor league clubs. Tucker's down on strikes. That's number 2 for Wilhelmsen, and we go to the 4th inning with the score 9-0 Houston. Home run challenge has been such a major effect in fighting prostate cancer. And Michael, you're a survivor yourself. You brought us a baseball quiz. You brought us the wristbands. We're all geared up for the challenge, which is coming up next weekend. It's always Father's Day weekend, right?
That is correct. Tonight is a bonus game, and those home runs have already raised $60,000 for prostate cancer right here in Houston. And we have a match, so that's $120,000 that's already been raised tonight.
That's tremendous. You didn't even tell us this. You are a man full of surprises. Robinson Cano rolls out to second base, and we don't want 3-pitch innings here. So tell us about the progress that's been made.
Well, since we started 20 years ago, we've raised $45 million for home runs. Overall, we've raised about $650 million. And the death rate has dropped by more than 50% from projected levels. And right here in Houston, you have some of the world's greatest medical research institutions, MD Anderson, Baylor, just to name a few. And tonight at the ballpark, we have Andy von Eschenbach, who ran the National Cancer Institute here, and FDA, and Ron Pita, who's the head of MD Anderson, and a lot of young scientists here this evening.
There's so much research being done, you're right, in this city, and I know you've talked about the gains that have been made, the specific treatments that are now prescribed for different forms of prostate cancer to different people.
That is correct. 28 types of prostate cancer, and you can learn all about it at pcf.org. And all the nutrition programs that we have funded over the last 20 years.
You've advocated for all these 20 years you've been on the yearly checkups. We do that, don't we, Ash?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Sure do.
Yep.
You have those grandkids. All three of us, are grandfathers. Isn't that fantastic?
It really is. And here's Carlos Correa. Have you gotten a chance to see much of him tonight, or have you had to visit?
No, I've seen him. I saw him hit his first hit here in Houston. And it's, I think one of the keys people don't realize over this 20 years is 20 years ago, if someone tells you have cancer, people say, wonder if he's going to make it or not. Today, there's more than 14 million, maybe more than 15 million people in America who are living normal lives that have had cancer. And for prostate cancer, our advances, if you're diagnosed, you have a 99% chance to live at least 5 years today, and in most cases, a normal life.
Those advances have taken us so far, and certainly one of the worthwhile projects, and you've been through the whole process here, but the gains are so encouraging to people. We can understand now why anybody would want to contribute to this cause.
Well, I think the potential to make cancer a chronic disease, not a life-threatening disease, with so many great young scientists who need support, we're going to change the world for all of us here. And it's fantastic to be here in this ballpark.
You've been here how many times, Michael?
20.
20 times in this ballpark?
That's correct. It's been a fantastic stay, and we knew you were going to win tonight. You're 12-7 over those 20 years that we've been here.
Why couldn't you show up in Chicago?
Well, we had to be in Washington and New York.
Okay.
But if you want to invite us back, we might follow you around the rest of the season.
Tomorrow night? You available tomorrow night?
Tomorrow is St. Louis and Chicago.
So you've already locked this win down, is that right?
Yes, but we do want a few more home runs.
Okay.
And we do want to send the message that cancer can be beat. And go to that prostate cancer, pcf.org, and every game between starting Monday to Father's Day. And we want to see you wearing your blue on Father's Day.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Michael Milken, 9-0 Astros. Order than we've seen lately. Top leadoff hitters since May 24th include George Springer, 348, 427. Why wasn't he leading off tonight? Well, because the skipper thought the number 3 spot would be better for him. Jose Altuve was leading off. He got a hit in 2 at-bats when he was in there. He left with a hamstring problem. And now George Springer, who had the RBI double in the first, is 1 for 2, taking ball 1. So George really has sizzled out of that top spot, and he keeps saying, I'm just trying to get on first base for my teammates. A.J. Hinch talked in one of the quotes in one of the articles about George and his very good bat control out of the leadoff spot. He just seemed to be trying to hit the ball 9 million miles when he batted in RBI spots in the order, and it's been a noticeable difference. Ash, the contact hitting that he's displayed in the number 1 spot.
Part of that contact hitting has been going up the middle and hitting it to right field, and it seems like it's made a whale of a difference. Now, will it take away his power game? Yet to be determined. But maybe in doing so for a while, you start settling in as a better major league hitter, and then you re-employ the power game.
Well, would you say to George, if he asked you, what do I need to do differently batting third compared to batting first?
I would say do the very same thing. To me, they're very similar spots in the order. The extra base, the double or home run can be a boon for the ball club. But as a 3-hitter, you get a chance to run as well. You're on base for the cleanup man, the 5-hitter. I don't see a great difference. In fact, like A.J. Hinch says, spots in the batting order don't mean that much. It's nice when you can get that lead in the first inning, and a 3-hitter can have as much impact, maybe more, than a 1-hitter.
Have you been on teams which haven't been going well offensively, and the manager says, I'm going to draw your names out of a hat tonight?
I've seen that happen. I don't recall if I was part of a club. I've heard that story on multiple occasions. There comes a point when the manager is exhausted. Everything he can possibly put into making the lineup, and then you just finally say, heck with it, let's draw it.
Strikeout number 3 for Wilhelmsen, and it's Gaddis coming up. Gaddis is 0 for 1 with a walk, reached on a fielder's choice, and came around to score. Astros have 7 hits to Seattle's 1. Astros have hit well against Mariners pitching so far. In their 7 games, they've scored 40 runs. And they now, with the 3 homers tonight, have 18 home runs in 7.5 games against Seattle. 1 ball, 1 strike. They had not faced Felix Hernandez this season until tonight. But the Mariners have not faced Dallas Keuchel. And they won't in this series.
I think I may have donated my multicolored pen to the cancer cause.
Well, maybe we can try to find Michael. 1 and 2. So Michael Milken knows what the Astros record is when he's here. That's impressive. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Apparently he takes these games rather seriously.
Well, with the money that's been raised, why wouldn't he? Will be Rasmus on deck. That's a strikeout. That's 4 in a row for Wilhelmsen. It's a strain on any manager when his starter goes 1/3 of an inning, Ash, but Bible went 1 2/3. Now Wilhelmsen trying to plug that gap so they don't have to use so many relievers tonight.
The big story coming in, Felix Hernandez trying to win his 10th on the year, become the leader in the major leagues in that regard. How tough he's been on everybody that he's faced. The Astros on a 7-game skid, and yet the Astros offense in that first inning has made this a a route the other direction.
The Astros coming off a day off. Fly ball left field. Ricky Weeks along the wall, and it's off the wall. Kicks around on the warning track, and that's an opposite field double for Colby Rasmus. His 12th.
Yellowwood just happens to be bringing the lumber as well as the Astros bats, and it is one of the Astros bats. Carlos Correa, take a look at this second major league home run. Look at that positioning. Can you do it better? I don't know. Opposite field bomb. The family couldn't be more pleased. And I'm not sure they're any happier than most of the folks here in the ballpark. He's already done it twice very early on. We're going to see a lot of this.
Now as he comes up, is he dreaming this or is this really happening? 1 for 2 tonight. He's hit in all 4 major league games he's played. 2 home runs. His family in attendance. He hits one out to right center field.
Well, that's an insightful question that I think applies to most guys that come up to the big leagues. I don't know if it applies to Carlos Correa. I think he just sees this as the way he plays the game. How about that swing?
Yep. He unleashed it.
There's not a flaw that I can find in trying to break down his swing. Just does everything right.
If the Astros win, they would move into a second place tie on that list with 2 different athletics teams. Only the 85-86 Yankees, with a 35-game winning streak when hitting multiple home runs, would be ahead of them. 1 and 2. The first time up, Correa was caught looking. He quietly departed. Second time up, he ripped that homer on the 2-0 count.
It's always a strange feeling when you strike out in an inning where your team scores 8 runs.
In the dirt for a ball, 2 and 2.
Or rather, just has the big inning, but you feel like, oh no. I don't get the sense that Carlos Correa plays it that way. Wait till I get up there next time.
Jeff Luhnow was asked what made up his mind about deciding to bring Correa to the big leagues. He said he had had a chance to see him in person a few days ago at AAA Fresno, and that went far beyond the box scores.
Well, look at his swings. Watch him play defense. Watch how he goes about his business. This is a major league player right now, and as good as they come.
It wasn't all that long ago he was at AA. Last year he was at High A Lancaster. Had a broken tibia there. And a strikeout. That's number 5 for Wilhelmsen. That ends the 4th with no runs, a hit and a man left. The Astros lead Seattle 9-0.
organization. So just going out there facing really good pitchers. The balls are hit harder, obviously, because you got big guys out there hitting the ball like Jose Abreu and all those guys that I face in Chicago. So I will say the game gets better. It gets faster, but I gotta stay myself under control and try to just go out there and have fun. And when you have fun, the talent will take care of everything, and you just gotta go out there and play the game the right way.
Our Geico quote of the day is Carlos Correa talking about that adjustment from the minors to the majors. Ricky Weeks leads it off, 9-0 Astros. Here's the 5th inning for Brett Oberholzer. And in the air, and the center fielder Colby Rasmus. If this comes down, he's underneath it. It does come down, and it's out number 1.
That's good anticipation on your part.
Wow. I didn't know if gravity was going to take hold on that one or not, Ash.
Yeah, I was kind of caught up there on that comment by Carlos Correa. Talent will take over. And to me, that's a real polite way of saying I believe in myself and I'm going to get the job done.
Yes. And that's the answer to the question I had asked him about, is the game faster here in the big leagues? Great answer.
Yep.
He is very well schooled. Logan Morrison grounded out to shortstop earlier. Strike to Morrison. And we've been searching for all kinds of comparables, but it's becoming apparent that there's only one Carlos Correa. Line shot, foul ball. Carter went up for it, but it kept going foul. And it's 0-2 to Morrison.
You always love playing those games of, if you started all franchises right now, who would be the first pick and that sort of thing? I'll bet there would be a lot of consideration for Carlos Correa.
He was ESPN's #1 minor league prospect before he was brought up. It's 1-2. Starting pitchers since 1920 who have allowed 8 earned runs with 1 or fewer outs recorded. There are some luminaries on this list. Fergie Jenkins, Rick Russell, Mark Langston, Madison Bumgarner. Interesting. Now Felix Hernandez. Bouncer past the diving Marwin Gonzalez into right field. A hit for Morrison. That's hit number 2 allowed by Oberholzer.
Always intrigued by these ground balls that either are caught or not caught with shifts on and how they get factored in. That's just straight up second base, and yet you can't control exactly where the baseball is going to go. Great effort by Marwin.
Charlie Furbush is warming up. A lefty in the bullpen for Seattle. Mike Zunino takes the pitch. He looks at ball 1. The Orioles are blasting the Yankees 10-3 in Baltimore. They're in the middle of the 7th inning. Ubaldo Jimenez started for Baltimore. Michael Pineda for New York. Yankees will be here in a couple of weeks. 2 balls and no strikes. Yankees and Royals on that homestand here at Minute Maid Park at the end of this month. That's a dandy. A couple of clubs in first place right now. Shot on the ground. Correa gets it on to second, and there's Marwin Gonzalez. It's a 6-4-3 double play. No runs a hit, nobody left. Correa took his time with it because that ball was really ripped, and the Astros lead it 9-0.
is presented by Steel Dealers. Felix Hernandez came in with some incredible numbers. He had not given up an extra base hit all season long on his changeup. Springer got one, a double in the first inning. Luis Valbuena doubled that with a home run on the changeup. And the Astros just turned those numbers around quickly. But Felix Hernandez had a rocky start, getting just one out in the game.
Now pitcher number 4 is in. He is lefty Charlie Furbush in 24 games, 0-1 with a 1.20 ERA. Wilhelmsen in 2 innings allowed 1 hit, no runs with 1 walk. He struck out 5.
He has not enjoyed life against the Astros this year. 10.8 ERA.
This will be his 4th appearance against the Astros. He took a loss at Seattle April 21st, giving up 2 earned runs and did not retire a batter in that one. Valbuena hit the 3-run homer and he grounded out. 2 long balls by the Astros in the first, another one by Correa in the second. A 3-home run night for Houston. There's ball 1. The Seattle bullpen is 6-15 with a 3.61 ERA. Foul tip makes it 1-1. Jay Happ started yesterday in Cleveland. He went 2 1/3 innings. Wilhelmsen, Vidal Nuno going 3 innings, and Fernando Rodney were the relief pitchers who worked in that game. Rodney no longer the closer, trying to work his way back into that role. Valbuena takes it, and it's 2-1 to Luis. Seattle will start a rookie left-hander tomorrow night, Mike Montgomery, against Colin McHugh. Well, it's not tomorrow night, it's tomorrow afternoon. It's a 3:10 start, Ash. I was wrong.
It's never bad to be reminded about that time.
2-2. Faith and Family Night, a concert by Mercy Me after the game. So plenty of time for people to take it all in. Ball game, concert, still get home at an early hour. Ground ball out to second. Robinson Cano. Out number 1.
Felix Hernandez, he's roaming the concourses trying to find his stuff. I don't know. Lasted a 1/3 of an inning and then decided he was hungry, apparently.
So unusual when it happens to a pitcher of his caliber. A guy who consistently goes deep into games. Chris Carter is 1 for 2. Carter looks at it, and it's strike 1. For the Mariners, who are 6.5 games out in 4th place after their first 60 games of the season, they had hoped to start making a move on the first place club in this series. Still could. In tight, 1-1. They've garnered a lot of respect over the winter because of what they did last year. They were almost a playoff team last season, winning 87 games. That was a 16-game improvement over 2013. And then what they did over the winter, they signed free agent Nelson Cruz,
who has been great. But you couldn't have asked more from Cruz. Leads the league in dingers, hitting well over 300. He's been among the RBI leaders all season long.
Carter takes it. It's 2-2. Carter's had some monstrous games against this Seattle club. 13 career homers, 32 runs batted in. He's done a lot of damage at Safeco Field. Well, the Mariners are on a 3-city road trip. They go to San Francisco for 2 after this series. And then they host San Francisco and Houston on their next homestand, as well as Kansas City. Pretty stern test for them. Deep drive high. It's going to hang in the left center field. Outfielders just spectators. That was way up near the train. Home run for Carter, number 11. fourth home run for the Astros tonight. 10-0 Houston. And Carter now has 31 runs batted in.
It's funny how lineups go. Some guys will bat in the 2 spot or 3 spot and have a good night, and people will say, well, he's comfortable hitting in that spot. Well, is Chris Carter comfortable and happy hitting in the 8 spot, or is he angry? I don't know. Whatever it is, might not be bad.
If so, stay angry, young man. Astros had 5 homers against Seattle, May 2nd for their 1-game high this season. Jason Castro turns aside. There's ball 1. Castro hit an opposite field bomb in the first. He walked in the third. 10 runs on 9 hits and 1 error. 0-2-1 for Seattle. Inside for a ball and makes it 2-0. Little ritual there with the head. He doesn't seem to have the Adrian Beltre aversion to people touching his head.
Adrian would be near about 400 times having that happen, right?
Grounded to Cano. 2 outs. Well, just settling in for the summer, you know, and it's been such a good baseball season so far with the players who have changed teams, like the Nelson Cruzes with Josh Hamilton. You know, that whole situation was a big surprise, and he was helping the Rangers win games, then he got hurt. The Rangers themselves have been a major story. The Yankees are hanging in first place in a very tightly bunched AL East. Tampa Bay's a major surprise, so on down the line. It's really been a fun season.
Did you forget about Minnesota?
Yes. Don't forget about that club.
And those Royals, well, they've had some struggles lately. They're back in first place, but yeah, it's been really intriguing. Tampa Bay, nobody expected them to play well like this.
Big series with the Padres and Dodgers starting tonight. And they will not play any more series after this weekend until September. San Diego would like to cut into that Los Angeles lead. The talented young players, Ash, you know, we've seen so many of them right here in Houston. We're seeing them tonight, but then the Chris Bryants and so on down the line. So much young talent coming into the game this year from the minor leagues and through the draft. Big names on the way.
What about those Cubs? They have a chance in the National League? Cardinals have been so good in that same division.
Yeah, it's tough to rule out anybody. I mean, to say that anybody other than the Cardinals could win, but Matt Holliday just went on the disabled list. But the Cubs certainly have returned to respectability. You talked about the Twins, the Astros, some teams who had been down for years. And now the cycles are running differently, and other teams are down, like Milwaukee and Cincinnati. Strikeout on a foul tip. Carter's home run, number 11 of the year. Makes it a 4-home run night for the Astros to 5 innings and a 10-0 Houston lead.
our AT&T Rewind as we recap the big league career of Arroyo, Puerto Rico native Jose Cruz. 1,937 hits and 942 RBI in his 13 seasons with the Astros. And, of course, Jose went on to play 18 big league seasons, but most of them right here in Houston. And Jose Cruz joins us right now. He is now in the community relations position with the Astros. But being a native of Puerto Rico, and you're really from the first family of baseball in Puerto Rico, so many of you played in the big leagues. Just your thoughts on Carlos Correa and the job he's done and the reception he's gotten here in Houston.
I'll tell you, that's the most exciting player for the Astros, I think. Coming from Puerto Rico, close to my hometown, that's great. And I remember the people, we got watching Weapon America in the station, my house, and they all were talking about Carlos Correa. And the people were so excited now because they can wait. When they got Carlos Correa got the call, and then the people really dedicate the Astros to watch the Houston Astros. Yeah. So I think that was great for the Puerto Rican people and for the Latin people because Carlos is so good. And, coming to be number one pick from Puerto Rico, that's the most exciting thing for the fans from Puerto Rico.
What does it mean for youth baseball in Puerto Rico? Because the kids that grew up there playing ball, there's no national team to play for. They have to go into the draft, right?
Exactly. That's the only thing. You got to be a super player to be number one pick. I think Correa got all the tools. He knows how to play the game so young that he knows how to play the game. Plus, look at those years he put in the minor league. I mean, I don't see that many guys that can do that. And, so young and put the year they put in the minor league and come so soon to the big leagues. I think it's great. And we're excited. And all the Puerto Rican people, they're excited. I'm excited. I get my hair coming out of my skin. And I can say, man, all good thing about that guy.
And we know the Puerto Rican fan base is excited because there are so many of them here tonight. We've seen Puerto Rican flags out in the crowd. It's really great to see.
Exactly. You know what? They got a lot of Puerto Rican, a lot of Latinos that they decided they want to come and see Correa play. You see it today. I think this is one of the best days that we have here today.
Cheo, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it very much. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
Great stuff, Bart. Thank you. And Cheo, one of the all-time fan favorites of the Houston Astros, really did a lot to advance Latino ball players, certainly in this area. And you can tell the pride is coming out in him tonight, Ash.
One of the all-time teammate favorites. I can't say enough about what kind of teammate Jose Cruz was, and then on top of that, just a great player. You hope that Carlos Correa can have that same kind of impact. Might be larger.
There were some people behind home plate before the game during batting practice who had made up a sign that they drove 1,566 miles from Philadelphia to come to this game. Jackson swings and misses, and he is a strikeout victim. That's number 4.
I saw that sign. Was that to come and see Carlos Correa play?
They had several different reasons that they came. That was one.
As you see the changeup induce one of those swings out in front.
I think they actually came to see King Felix as well. That's certainly valid. Mark Trumbo is 0 for 2. Whatever the reasons, they made a long trip.
Well, it would be really nice if Minute Maid Park becomes the focus of vacations for a lot of folks. Come and see some good Astros baseball.
As we're looking down through the stands right now, this is really a tremendous crowd. On the changeup, Trumbo goes to a 1-1 count.
Can one player have that kind of impact on intrigue, interest for the fans?
Well, I think that fans, by and large, often do come to see a given player, or maybe a couple of players in the game that night. Obi feels the one hopper, firing to second. Marlon Gonzalez, no double play. They get the force play from 1 to 4.
It's a good effort there by Obi to get the lead out. A little earlier on today, Carlos Correa said that he's very free giving his time. He's got his family down there. He's getting ready to play a big league ball game, and that's part of his preparation. He's a really giving guy.
I've never seen anything like this from a rookie who's played 3 major league games, about to play his first at home spending that kind of time signing autographs with the fans before the game.
I thought there was supposed to be a lot of pressure involved.
Doesn't seem to be for him. Robinson Cano is 0 for 2. There is strike one to Cano. You don't suppose the guys will fire up the smoke machine in the clubhouse, do you?
I don't know.
Foul away, and it snowballs. 2 strikes. It's been quiet for a week now.
You know what? If it brings a good time and
Right.
victories follow, bring it on.
Big night for Obi as well. Coming up against Felix Hernandez. He set a nice tone with a quick first inning in 1-2-3 fashion. Then the Astros got 8 by sending 12 men to the plate in the bottom half. Astros starting pitchers have not been supported like this in a while.
Yeah, you want to be that guy that other pitchers say to in disgust, you get all the runs. Yeah, thanks.
Tonight it's an Astros gym bag giveaway for 10,000 fans presented by Houston Methodist. Father's Day, as we mentioned, is next weekend, but a lot of the Father's Day themed giveaways and events are happening this weekend. Club will be in Seattle next week. Back after starting in Colorado. Kind of an unusual schedule with interleague play coming. Monday night, Tuesday afternoon, the Rockies are here. Then the Astros and Rockies go to Colorado, and they play there Wednesday night and Thursday afternoon.
I think this is the second time in recent years where they've had that 2-2 with the Rocks.
So Troy Tulowitzki and company will be here for a couple games. Fouled away, and Cano keeps the count at 0-2. Blue Jays and Red Sox pounding away at each other. 13-8 Blue Jays in the 8th.
I was just going to say, Carlos Gonzalez, a part of the Rockies team.
Yeah.
That should be a lot of great talent to come out and see.
Former Astro Brandon Barnes coming back to Minute Maid Park. One of the great guys who's put on the uniform here in recent years.
Where does Jordan Lyle stand in terms of his health?
He's on the disabled list with a toe injury. There's a shot past a diving Carter into right field. Springer over to pick it up. Trumbo going first to third on a sharp single by Cano.
Celebrate Father's Day early by bringing Dad to the ballpark this Monday and Tuesday with the Astros special Father's Day ticket promotion. Select seats will be offered at a reduced rate of $20 per tickets. That is not too bad. For more information, visit Astros.com/Father's Day or call 1-800-9-ASTROS. Let me try that again, 1-877-9-ASTROS.
It'll be that Rockies series we were talking about. Monday night, Tuesday afternoon. Some good pricing there for you. The whole family's in that row. Watching Nelson Cruz bat. He's 1 for 2. Cruz with a single to right, also is grounded to short. Looking at ball 1. Cruz has really put up big numbers at Minute Maid Park in his career. And he certainly did up in Arlington as well, as you know, as a Ranger. That's a strike, and that makes it 1-1.
The Astros just saw a couple of big right-handed sluggers for the White Sox, but I think all of the right-hand sluggers are now chasing this guy.
Cruz has hit .347 in Minute Maid Park with 10 homers, 26 runs batted in, and 95 at bats. Ground ball, diving Valbuena, long throw to Carter. Valbuena just extinguishes an extra base hit. He snuffed it out. What a play by Valbuena. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. With the score 10-0 and folks stocking up on their food items, the Astros will be batting in the bottom of the 6th inning. Plenty of time for them to get the cheese on.
Get your cheese on.
Yeah. No big rush. Multiple changes from Lloyd McClendon. Mark Lowe is our call to the bullpen. He has a low ERA for 15 games, and we have other changes as well. Charlie Furbush in 1 inning allowed 1 hit, 1 run with no walks, 1 strikeout. Brad Miller has taken over at shortstop for the Mariners. Willie Bloomquist has moved to second base with Robinson Cano coming out of the game. And there's strike 1 to Preston Tucker. He's been on twice with a walk and a single in 3 trips.
Intriguing night where through 5 innings the Astros have struck out 8 times and lead 10-0. How often do you combine those numbers?
Boy, it's a good stat. Dustin Ackley's in center field for Jackson. That's a strike, and it's 0-2. Well, the Astros cannot really be categorized by the times they strike out, can they?
That's just a part of what they do. But I think times are changing for this offense.
So you're saying that Correa will make better contact, you think, right?
Oh, I do, definitely there. This guy is, as I've said, Preston Tucker, a guy that I think is going to make a big difference. I imagine he'll have his fair share of strikeouts. Most power hitters do.
Foul away, but you pointed out how he keeps his bat in the zone so well. So it would seem to be a good trade-off. There's Jake Marisnick now. Looks as if he's going to hit for George Springer.
You know, and it's not all about home runs. Extra base hits are key, and Preston Tucker has shown an ability to hit doubles in both directions.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Well, now the key becomes, at least for the night, Ash, what is Jose Altuve's condition going to be at 3:10 tomorrow afternoon?
It's crucial. I can't overemphasize how important a hot Jose Altuve with the bat is to this offense.
Out to right field, Trumbo. 1 out.
Preston Tucker has had issues at times with stuff up in the strike zone or out of the strike zone. He got to that one pretty well.
Jake Marisnick now is pinch hitting for George Springer. George 1 for 3 tonight, an RBI double. George has not had many innings off. Astros 6 for 25 with a couple of pinch homers, both of them supplied by Preston Tucker. George doesn't like to take days off, but maybe a few innings off here and there in a 10-0 game will help keep him a little more rested. This pop-up goes in the foul ground. Seager, 2 down.
Picnic in the park with your Astros players this Sunday thanks to Cisco. Picnic in the Park features a picnic buffet in the Minute Maid Park outfield, an autograph session with the Astros players, and family-friendly activities. To purchase tickets, visit astros.com/picnic. That is with Cisco.
You're up for a picnic, aren't you?
I'm always up for a picnic.
Evan Gattis is 0 for 2 with a walk. George Springer missed a few games when he was on the concussion disabled list. You probably will recall. Just thumbing back through the scorebook to see the last time he did not start a game. He has been a staple in this lineup. Bouncer into right field. Gattis continues to keep other teams honest by doing that occasionally, and he's on with a right field single.
You know, it's got to feel, I don't even know what term to use. When you're struggling and you're hitting line drives at people and you're making outs and you're trying to get it going, and then you just hit a ground ball on the opposite side of the infield and get yourself a knock that easily. And you probably kick yourself a little bit and say, why don't I do that more?
That's hit number 10 for the Astros. 10 runs on 10 hits. Colby Rasmus doubled to left in the 4th inning. Colby's 1 for 2 with a walk. He has scored a run. He's got a lot of people between first and second base. There is strike 1. If this is croquet and he's going in that direction, he's going to have to ram the ball hard to get it into right field.
Ted Williams played some pretty solid croquet that way for years.
That's true, he did.
Hey, did you hear the comparison on Preston Tucker's younger brother that drafted by the Astros, Kyle Tucker?
A little bit.
About Ted Williams. Comparison, this tall, slender guy who really swings the bat well. I've heard it said that Kyle Tucker might be the best bat that was in the draft this year.
I've read that. You and Plummer were talking about it. That was intriguing what you said, 1 and 2.
But some people bringing up the name Ted Williams. Now, I don't know how much that has to do with the swing they see or with the fact that he's slender and employs that swing.
Struck him out looking, and that's the 6th inning with no runs a hit and a man left after 6, 10-0 Houston.
Fans, we're having a lot of fun out here in the Bud Plaza. We got a birthday. We got a 50th birthday. You know, once you get to 50, after that, you just stop counting pretty much. But Russell Harrison is still counting. I speak from experience. Happy birthday, Russell.
Thank you very much, Bart.
Now, did you have this plan how far in advance?
Literally 5 days.
Wow. So you had no idea it was going to be a big run-scoring extravaganza here tonight?
No idea, but I'm very excited to be part of the Astros' new winning streak.
Yep. The Carlos Correa era is here, and it's going to be here for a while. So you
home run ball right here. Super exciting.
Did you make a play for it?
No, I could. Clearly, it was going to the bullpen. I wasn't going to have a shot.
Yeah, it's a little far to your left.
Yeah, that's right.
You're 50 now. You don't have that range anymore.
That's exactly it.
Well, Carlos is 20. How does that make you feel?
Older than 30.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was after right there. Hey, you are a progressive fan of the game, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your birthday.
Thank you, Bart.
Happy birthday
Appreciate
to you.
it.
Guys, back up to you.
On time for him. Thanks, Bart. Kyle Seager, the batter. Ground ball to second. Marwin Gonzalez over to first. 1 out of the 7th inning. Seager is now 0 for 3.
Bart has really proved himself to be a rub-it-in kind of guy, huh?
It's okay. He's a member of the club. He's a young-looking man for 50.
Yes, he is.
This guy's not 50, is he?
Go for that ball.
Ricky Weeks is 0 for 2. Oberholzer has thrown 84 pitches, 85 as you can see on the screen. 57 of them strikes. Good percentage for Obi as he takes it deep into this game. And it's strike one. 32,173 the paid attendance. A lot of people are rediscovering Astros baseball. Good night to rediscover.
Yes, a great way for the club to come home, and it didn't look promising, quite frankly, with Felix Hernandez on the hill, but just an absolute abuse dropped on him.
For those who missed the first inning, the score is Astros 2, Mariners nothing.
2-0, huh?
Well, if they missed the 8-run first.
Yeah, okay.
1 and 2.
Well, the Astros are good at winning those close ball games. Lost in all of this offense tonight is Brett Oberholzer.
What have you thought?
He's done a nice job mixing. The changeup to me is his best pitch, but it is only his best pitch when he utilizes the fastball well. He's done that. He's worked to the inside corner, trying to quicken the reactions of the hitters. The bullpen can just hang out and do some stretching.
Tap the third, Valbuena. 2 outs. This is the 4th time the Astros have scored 10 runs or more this season.
Ooh, this ballpark looks good when it's filled up.
There's a real buzz tonight, but there has been since batting practice, with everything happening and with this being that time of year when people are freed up from their schedules to come out to more games. Logan Morrison's 1 for 2.
Is this a bit of what it was like for the Yankees all those years with Derek Jeter in the fold?
You know that. Strike to Morrison. Quite an opener for the 5-game homestand. Tomorrow at 3:10, game 2 of this homestand matches Colin McHugh and Mike Montgomery. Then Sunday it's Lance McCullers and Roenis Elias, another lefty, against the Astros. 2 lefties in a row. Montgomery's a southpaw. After those 3 lefties you talked about in the White Sox series, the Astros are seeing a lot of southpaws.
You know what? They've also seen some really good arms as you look at the matchups coming up here in the series. But in Toronto, and I'm sure you noticed, there were some serious power arms going on.
Yep. Out to left field. Preston Tucker puts it away. It's a quick 7th inning, and still under 100 pitches for Obi through 7. He leads it 10-0. In history is brought to you by MD Anderson. 20 years ago today, Alex Rodriguez hit the first home run of his career in Seattle off Kansas City's Tom Gordon. A-Rod would play 48 games in 1995 and only 65 games total in his first 2 big league seasons.
Take a look at that body and see if it doesn't kind of remind you of somebody debuting in his home uniform tonight. Man, oh man, same size guys. In fact, 6'4", an inch taller for Carlos Correa. 2 home runs already. Very impressive.
Now it's Correa, 1 for 3 with a homer tonight, with strike 1 in the home 7th inning, with Mark Lowe on the mound for Seattle.
Looks good in that uni, doesn't he?
He's just an athletic looking player. Not to suggest he should be playing for Oakland. 1 ball, 1 strike. Astros fans wouldn't have any of that. And Dwight has come back. Dwight Howard watching Carlos Correa. 2 balls and a strike. It was interesting to hear from Cheo Cruz, Puerto Rican native, earlier tonight. The obvious pride in that island coming out in his voice as he described baseball players who come from there. So many greats from that island. Broken back. Shoveled. Seager recovers. Out at first.
Carlos Correa was tearing up the minor leagues in stolen bases. He runs well. Not sure he's quite as quick going down the line as Jose Altuve, for example, but he's going to make a lot of plays close. And in fact, that first major league hit infield style. Ooh, that's close.
Luis Valbuena ripped a homer in the first inning. A 3-run shot. He's 1 for 3. Seager back into left field. There's the shortstop Miller with the angle on it, and Miller reaches back to snag it. 2 outs. Lowe's in his 2nd inning as pitcher number 5 of the night for the Mariners, and Chris Carter will face him next. Carter singled in the 7th inning, homered in the first inning rather, and he homered in the 5th. And now here in the 7th inning, Chris going for a 3rd hit tonight.
Be careful how well you perform in the 8th spot in the order.
Carter 8th and Castro 9th. We haven't seen that one yet.
No. Well, AJ has said numerous times, it really doesn't matter. The big thing is being in the lineup. And it's true, but there's a pride element that goes on.
One ball, 1 strike. Texas Rangers have a 2-1 lead over Minnesota after 7 tonight in Arlington, Texas. The Rangers just got 2 in the bottom of the 7th inning. They trailed the Astros by 2.5.
You know, most people point to Prince Fielder as to why the Rangers have done so well this year, and I know he's been a big part of things. They've picked up some good young pitching.
Chichi Gonzalez is one of them. 2-2. Now the Twins have tied it with a run in the top of the 8th. It's 2-2. Well, it's an intriguing matchup this weekend in Arlington there. Tommy Malone with a good 7 innings tonight, giving up 2 runs for the Twins. Wandy Rodriguez 6 2/3, 1 run allowed for the Rangers. 2 surprise teams. 3 balls, 2 strikes. In fact, it's been kind of the ideal start to a season in terms of a lot of teams that are not out of the hunt A lot of really good individual performances, exciting games. And it should be a season to watch and savor. Bart?
Thanks, Brownie. Hey, Jose Altuve continues to lead the second base All-Star vote, but it's a tight race. He needs your help to make sure he's the All-Star game starter for the American League. Make Houston proud and vote Altuve now at Astros.com/vote. And we'll just hope that hamstring issue is not an issue, guys.
Yes, we do. Now Jason Castro, he hit the 2-run homer to left field in the first, then a walk, then a ground out. There's a strike. Statistically, there is really nothing close between those top two guys in the voting. Omar and Fadez hitting about 217 for Kansas City. So obviously swept along in a tide of Kansas City voting. And Fadez has been gaining ground on Altuve. 0-2. In fact, it's getting to such proportions that you might be wondering if Major League Baseball would step in and do something about it. It kind of reminds some people of the Cincinnati Reds ballot box stuffing for the All-Star team back in the 50s. Strikeout, and that's the end of 7 with the score 10-0 Houston.
To nothing. You can follow the Astros all season with MLB.com @bat, the #1 app for live baseball. @bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com @bat for your smartphone or tablet. It is a great addition to following along with the Astros games. Guys, back up to you.
Barton, got a question for you. When
Yes,
you
sir.
came to the ballpark tonight, you look at all the stats, the starting pitchers, what they've done, and the various teams, as they're stacked up against each other. There's a form chart that some people have. Isn't it fun to come to the ballpark and be surprised by some things?
It absolutely is. I was surprised by the Correa jerseys that were already all over the stadium. You see a lot of Altuve jerseys, but I saw #1 Correa jerseys everywhere. That really stunned me.
There's a pop-up hit by Zadino. Correa makes the catch, 1 down here in the 8th inning as Oberholzer takes it deep into the game. He's given up just 3 singles tonight.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of focus on this guy, but you don't get the sense that it's going to overwhelm him in any way. There's one of those jerseys.
Jesus Sucre, backup catcher, is warming up from the mound for the Mariners.
And he's never been more excited in his life.
We're assuming he has not pitched before.
Yeah, I'd have to check on that one.
We don't have a record of him having pitched in a major league game. Strike to Bloomquist, who was struck out and walked. And it's 1-1. Astros have a lefty throwing in their pen. Joe Thatcher. Foul ball makes it 1-2. Brewers lead the Nationals 8-3 in the bottom of the 7th at Milwaukee. Mike fires with the lead over Jordan Zimmerman, who gave up 6 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings. So it appears that Mr. Sucre, the backup catcher, will be coming in to do some pitching here. He's never pitched in organized baseball.
Disorganized, yes.
Yes,
disorganized. And it could be a little bit of that when he comes in.
Well, you can understand Lloyd McClendon warming up a position player in a game like this.
You get to a point where you say, okay, if they let us throw out the white towel right now, we would do it, but let's keep the bullpen intact a bit.
That's a fair ball somehow. And Overholzer tags him out. Was that ever a crazy spinning fair ball?
You know what? Obi's been pretty quick on the hill tonight. And he made earlier in the ballgame what I thought was a pretty quality play. When he came in, took a little tapper, got an out at second base, when it might have been quite tempting for a lot of guys to just get the out with the runner coming up the line.
Shooting for his first win of the season. He is 9-19 as a major league pitcher.
Well, he's kind of kept it on the QT tonight with all the stuff going on with Carlos Correa and the big run night for the club. But that's not bad.
Dustin Ackley looks at ball 1. Ackley at 194 with 4 homers, has 11 runs batted in. Phil Boudreau has 5. Said 5 Kansas City Royals have started the All-Star game since George Brett retired. And yet they might have more than that starting this year.
That's just silly.
It is.
And they've been a good club. Be more than willing to be fair about the way they've played and guys that deserve it. But you got Miguel Cabrera, for example, not right now looking like he's going to be one of the starting players on the American League squad.
That's not healthy for the game. It's 3-1. St. Louis leads Kansas City 2-0. They're in the bottom of the 8th. That's St. Louis. And a walk. Second of the night. Let's see the vote totals on Altuve, who's leading at second base, and Omar Infante.
Yeah, look at that comparison straight up. There's just no question whether you go batting average, on base percentage, home runs, runs scored, steals. Jose Altuve leading the league in that category. And defensively, he's been tremendous this year. Yeah, get the votes out for Jose Altuve. Extremely deserving.
It can't happen. Mark Trumbo is 0 for 3. There is strike 1. Get your precinct captains working.
Is that what they call them?
Well, in actual voting they do, right?
Remember, you got your voting card, and get out there and use it.
Let's see what the breakdown is and how many Royals are going to be on this team.
See a lot of blue out there. Goodness gracious.
Trout and Altuve, the only 2 non-Royals.
Lorenzo Cain leads the voting. No, he doesn't. Salvador Perez leads the voting this year. Mike Moustakas, who spent a good part of last year in the minor leagues, is the leader at third base. It's been a nice turnaround for him.
Up and in for a ball to Trumbo. 1-2.
I think the winds of change need to start blowing.
The Astros, with their 8-run first tonight, have tied the most runs in a first inning in the majors in 2015 with the Yankees, who scored 8 in the first, made 10. Struck him out looking. Strikeout number 5 in the middle of the 8th inning. Let's not forget a shutout is underway. 10-0 Astros.
On the Mariners, 10-0. Join the Astros in the Baseball Tomorrow Fund to help youth baseball and softball programs this Sunday, June 14th. Donate new or slightly used equipment at Minute Maid Park. 600 fans who donate will receive a voucher for a Joe Morgan swing trainer. Let's go back up to the booth now, where Bill Brown has all the fundamental stats you need to know on this new relief pitcher. Brownie?
Jesus Sucre, normally a catcher, is a pitcher for the first time in his career. His career ERA is 0 for 0 appearances.
He's never faced the Astros before, nor anybody else in Major League Baseball.
So they have no scouting report on him as Marwin Gonzalez steps up. He's 0 for 2. First pitch is ball 1. Mark Lowe in 2 innings allowed 1 hit, no runs, had 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. And for a strike, Aaron Miles, Boods tells us, is the last position player to pitch against the Astros. That was in 2010 for St. Louis.
So when does a guy that's a catcher decide, you know what, if I ever pitch in the big leagues, I'm going to do it from the stretch?
Not sure what that thought process is all about, but he just gave up a single to right field.
Time for the Mako big hit of the game. Our Mako big hits of the game were long balls, started by Luis Valbuena back in the first inning. A 3-run bomb. Jason Castro added a 2-run shot to left field, and then Carlos Correa got in the act solo opposite field. Chris Carter said, I'm not going to be outdone, as he hit a bomb to left center field. 4 bombs on the night. Those are some big hits.
0-1 to Preston Tucker. He's 1 for 3 with a walk. Bouncer third. Backhanded Seager. He fires to second. And the turn to first. And time for a double play. Bloomquist, the middleman, on a 5-4-3. Marisnik fouled out of the 6th inning. He's 0 for 1. Jesus Sucre is 27 years old. He's from Venezuela. Ball at shortstop. Miller gives him a scoreless first major league inning as a pitcher. We go to the ninth inning, 10-0 Astros. By Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Carlos Correa with his first Major League home game at Minute Maid Park, joining his family and friends who were on the field watching batting practice tonight. He posed for some photos with them and then promptly delivered a home run in his second at-bat of the night in the second inning. He's hit in all 4 Major League games since being promoted from AAA Fresno. 2 homers and 4 runs batted in those first 4 games for Carlos Correa, who's at shortstop now for the ninth inning. 10-0 Astros. Lefty Joe Thatcher comes in for the ninth.
Brett Oberholzer just ran into a pitch count issue tonight, so won't get the shot at his shutout. Joe Thatcher surprisingly not in a save scenario here.
Face Brad Miller and throw ball 1.
7 straight shutout efforts for Joe Thatcher.
So he's remained unscathed while others in the bullpen have been dinged up a little bit in recent days. Sort of a reversion to the mean, you might say, after this bullpen was lights out for so many weeks. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brad Miller is a .233 hitter with 5 homers. And that one will find the seats. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Oberholzer 8 innings, 3 hits, no runs. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 108 pitches, 72 for strikes. His ERA goes down to 2.25.
Yeah, the numbers say he's having a very good start to his year. So maybe he fits in nicely.
Miller strikes out. As we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and it is Mr. Brett Oberholzer.
Quietly going about having a really good game. Use that inside corner with the fastball, set up his changeup well over the course of the night, and I think that's a formula that he has to be able to utilize. Got the double play started by Correa. Hey, he can get his strikeouts, whether it be by the change or that fastball spotted well.
So the 25-year-old lefty from Delaware on the verge of his first win of the season, watching Thatcher work to Nelson Cruz. And it's ball 1. Cruz is 1 for 3. Valbuena robbed him last time up. The Astros have authored 3 shutouts this season. That's in tight for a 2-0 count. They set out to snap a 7-game losing streak, and they erupted for 8 runs in the first inning, sending 12 batters to the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Felix Hernandez giving up 8 runs in 1/3 of an inning tonight. So the Astros stand to go 7-1 against Seattle for the season. They've won 4 consecutive series against the Mariners, 10 of their last 13 games. Going back to last year, 3 balls and a strike.
Not a bad way to go about trying to win your own division. Just lay the hammer on the division clubs.
The Astros are 18-11 against the clubs in their division. They keep up that pace, and it's going to be a very interesting summer around here. There's a 1-out walk to Cruz. People have been watching the Astros lose the last 7 games, wondering if they have been an illusion and when it will end. Good bounce back game for them tonight. Seager is 0 for 3. The infield shifts around on Seager. Looks like he's about to sit down on a stool there with that flex at the knees approach. And it's ball 1. Just wondering too about the way the Astros treat their young players in spring training, like Correa and the others, that it is not anything uncomfortable for them to come to the big league club, because even before Carlos and the other players we've seen were on the 40-man roster or invited to spring training, they'll be called over from minor league camp, play several games there, get a feel for the big league clubhouse and some of the players. And it's just an organization-wide approach to have everybody know each other a little bit, whether a guy's played at Class A or the big leagues the year before.
Yeah, Carlos has had 2 springs, and he said it had a chance to kind of look around and say to himself, I can play with these guys. And again, he's 20 years of age today.
2-2. You remember anybody who was 20 when you were coming up?
Well, I did get to see Robin Yount come to the big leagues. He might have been pre-20 at that time.
I think he was 18 when he came up.
I saw Dennis Eckersley come up as a kid who had basically pitched A ball, had gone a little bit to AA, and came up and dominated major league hitters. I've seen plenty of it. Buddy Bell was a teammate of mine. He came up at a very young age and succeeded immediately. Great talent, I don't think really cares where it plays.
Doc Gooden.
Yes, and he was an instant success. Well, we're looking at Lance McCullers do the same thing.
Seager whiffs. 2 outs. Fans have enjoyed the show. They'll have more with the fireworks to come after this game. Ricky Weeks is 0 for 3.
And I will just say for myself, Brownie, Lance McCullers, along with Carlos Correa, some of the largest reasons right now why I've become extremely optimistic about this Astros club.
Fans are up. Strike 1 for Thatcher. The players have come back to an energy-filled Minute Maid Park to open this homestand. 32,173 taking it in. Strike 2. Thatcher through 1/3 of an inning Wednesday against the White Sox. Oh, so close. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Not usually a wise idea to take a pitch that close when you're down 10-0 in the 9th inning. You could see it was away.
Logan Morrison is on deck. Up the middle, and that will loop into shallow center field. Not well hit, but Weeks has a single. Cruise to second base, and the Mariners remain alive with Morrison batting. Morrison's 1 for 3. His single came in the 5th inning. It went to right center field. This would be the Astros' 20th win at home in 33 games. Their road record has come back to close to 500, 15 and 14. For a while, they had the best road record in the majors. Strike one to Morrison. The Astros, with the 4 long balls tonight, now have hit 15 homers in their last 4 games against Seattle. One and one.
There are a lot of folks hanging around to see this final out.
Yeah, it's fun. Brings back some good memories, right?
Really does.
Well, then it's 1-2 to Morrison.
Probably we've talked about you go to St. Louis or Anaheim and you see those red jerseys so prominent amongst the fans. Starting to see more and more of that here with the orange with the Astros fans.
See a lot of it tonight. Did he swing? Yes, it's a strikeout, and that will do it.
Great night for Brett Oberholzer and company.